Hello and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to revisit the M41 Walker Bulldog like I did a little bit with the RS6, but from a different perspective. So I want to talk a little bit in the introduction what the actual cause for my revisit is, and then I will show you two gameplays with the best kind of scenarios or outcome. So this Japanese version is copy and paste to the American one. And you know, when you look at the stats, it's absolutely fantastic. 76mm gun with backed up by a 50 cal, good turret rotation speed, gun depression, reload rate, a little bit of armor to be at least safe from machine cannons. You know, good mobility stats, at least on paper, reverse gear, neutral steering. It has it all. And then the ammunition. This tank, together or with the American version, was the very first tank that got APDS. And at first in arcade I didn't really appreciate it at first, but it dawned on me, hey, this is a shell that you really have to play differently. And you can switch it with the recently buffed AP shot, which is also not that bad with 180mm. I mean, for 6.0 on a light tank, that's not bad. But the matter of the fact is that every other light tank in the game has something different going for it. And this is as bad of an Axis light tank as the RE251 when it comes to actually making a difference. You have not that many problems penetrating the enemy like the RE251, but to actually one-shot them, to make them disappear on the map without any trace of their existence, this is the absolute weakness, and you get so often punished. Especially, and this is true, by T-3485s, which are practically as fast as you and just have a one-shot killer gun that doesn't give a damn about your armor, your mobility, and your positioning. So I think easily 15 to 16 out of my 20 deaths that occurred in me playing this tank yesterday and today were by T-3485s that camped hard or were rushing to the capture zone or to the front line or were flanking. And me trying to take them out is always this really bad trade-off. Where do you shoot them? From the side or the rear? Do you want to take out their gun breach, or do you want to disable them with the mobility and with an engine shot? And then very often the engine doesn't even burn, the gun breach you miss just by a few pixels, and he just turns the turret before you could, you know, get into cover or reload the shot, and he one-shots you. And this is deeply, deeply frustrating. But still, this is the best Axis light tank that you can think of, with the exception of the Chaffee. And if you think about, you know, very fast turreted tanks with a lot of mobility, the Hellcat, the Super Hellcat, the M36 Slugger, and many other tanks are just so much better. And you know, don't even dare to make a comparison to the Object 906, which is just off the scale. This tank is deeply frustrating. It's overperforming, in fact. It's so good at penetrating tanks, at, you know, having those nice stats, but so bad at getting results from them. So without further ado, let's get right into the gameplay and let's see the best outcome and what the tank is truly capable of if everything aligns itself. So the first match is here on the Stalingrad map, and I'm racing towards C. I want to capture it, and then I want to go behind the enemy lines to single out enemy tanks, cripple them, and then finish them off. That's the plan. The execution is always ruined by the actions of the enemy team that wants to kill you. Yeah, it's like that. But in this battle it actually worked out. Now the next thing is when I'm in position, just please notice where I follow it up with my positioning and where I set the artillery strike. So one big drawback of this tank compared to a lot of other tanks is that it doesn't have smoke launchers. So it has smoke shells, but you have to switch ammunition and your gun mustn't be destroyed or your gun breach. So very often you cannot hide yourself like so many other light tanks. And this is really crippling. So here is a gap between two buildings, which is in the marching zone, so to say, of the enemy team. And I set an artillery strike. I have here a good cover right at the front, not at the back of the capture zone. and I capture it, observing the surrounding, looking at the minimap where the artillery, the artillery strike drops, and I move even before the capture is finished, and there we get a hit, and there we get a marker, so I know that there is somebody. And one of the big drawbacks that, well, is down to the good stats of this tank is the elevation speed. Very often your gun has the wrong elevation when you do this hill fight, or you want to get out of cover, and the gun has to be elevated or depressed, and you have such a great span, and the elevation speed is not bad by any means. But it just always takes so long because you have the gun depression, because you have the turret rotation speed. You want to use it to get an advantage over your opponent. But T-3485 just stays on plain field, rushes in, sees you struggling to get the gun on target, and just one-shots you while you try to get your fantastic APDS on target. There we see a Vickers MBT. First we spot him, then we disable his cannon breach. So you could see the spalling was not enough to get him killed. And the follow-up shot does absolutely nothing. And then there is a T114, and 50 cal bursts are enough to kill him off. Fantastic tank as long as it doesn't get hit. So he shoots me with machine guns, giving my position away. I kill him off now, or at least I tried. Did you see how close I missed this guy? And same position, now we get him. So this is actually already in most cases my doom, because my position is compromised. There was some noise, there was some spotting on the minimap. The enemy could have marked me on the minimap. If he respawns, he's actively going for me for a revenge kill, and now I have to reposition. And in this case, mostly this gets me killed. And so I'm very hesitating with, repositioning. Very often I stop and just listen. Yeah, I'm still there. So very often I just stand still and listen. Is there an engine revving? Is somebody shooting right next to me with the main cannon or the machine gun? Very often this is already a good indicator of what it might be, which nation of tank it might be, because several nations are fighting against several nations these days. And so you cannot be sure what to do and what not to do. What is your next step in this position? Do I move? Has somebody just respawned and is just by default going into this direction? My team is already fighting again around C, but we have the cap advantage. Should I go directly for the enemy spawn, or just intercept the tanks going from there? Now this is now a big misunderstanding. I want to go behind the enemy lines, but very often what certain people in my comment section see is that this is spawn camping. This is not spawn camping. This is not spawn pushing. I want to be behind the enemy lines, just how so the map design turns out. It looks like suppressing the enemy. Or look at this. I see somebody firing and I disable him. And now he gets away. I have to follow him up. And this puts me closer to the spawn because he retreated. But if I let him go, he knows I'm there. He can write in chat what I am, where I am, and what the hell I'm doing. And look at this follow-up shot. Shot doesn't go through the upper glacis because it hit the additional track. I tried to hit here the M42 Duster, but the shell just ricochets on the engine cover. And now what to do? I reload an AP shot trying to get better spalling, but yeah, he just turned. And where to shoot right now? Well, straight through the turret, and now I get the crew. Very often this is so much more difficult than with a simple APHE. From a Russian tank, from a German tank, from an American tank that has APHE. So, In this case it went well, but even now I was spotted 2 times. And now I want to, well, again find my place. Where can I go? Well, I still have the M42 Duster in mind, but this is a highly dangerous opponent. If he sees me, well, you know, he has a faster rate of fire, faster reload, and he's not really damaged, and I cannot really damage him that well. My only chance is to get his gun breaches. And where the hell is he? Where the hell is he? So again, I could be killed by somebody from the rear, you know, because I'm now between the front line and the enemy spawn, going to the front line. Now, funnily enough, this is also the most dangerous position that you can find yourself in simulator, where there are no markers and friendly fire is on. This is where mostly I got killed by friendly fire, behind enemy lines. I did a video on it, so you might have a look at it recently. Simulator is really something different at times, but sometimes I don't like the lineups. And then I see some action going on. So there is now a tiger, and oh, who's that? Well, that is now the M42 Duster, and I think that this might have been the guy chasing after me, coming across a Tiger 2. There is another SPA, and I need to help my Tiger 2. Whereas they have a real hard time to do any significant damage to the Tiger. Now I scouted him, at least, so that my team knows where the enemy is, so they can get into position. They still can track him, they still can kill his gun breech, or the gun barrel rather. Let's see if we can get a shot onto him. But do you see how much I have to maneuver? Yeah, and 50 cals did it, so I still have the shot in the barrel. And what is that? Well, I actually saw another SPA between the gap between the Tiger 2 and the wall. So there is still something there. I tried to get a shot onto it. Can I? Can I? I spotted him and I finish him off. Good stuff. Spotting is easier than scouting because you can also look through walls or just aim at the enemy where, well, you have a little bit of elevated camera position with spotting, with binoculars, but also, you know, you just can look at the gun barrel or just cupola where you couldn't really do significant damage to the enemy team and would give you a position away, or they could retreat. I think enemies don't notice it when they are spotted, except if they then get shot afterwards by your ally or you. Also in a, you know, fight light tank versus light tank, to spot the enemy tank and then retreat, position yourself is a massive advantage. And this is what the entire German tech tree lacks, except 2 premium tanks. And then at 8.7 the big light panzer, which is very much outdated on the battlefields of War Thunder. So at this stage, now we are spawn camping because there are just 2 enemies left, and we have all 3 capture zones. There is nothing left to do. What the hell am I now supposed to do? I'm just actually getting myself into position where I could cut off the last exit from the enemy spawn, but you know, why should I also not take part? The battle is over. The battle is decided a long time, and look at this again. No real damage. Well, at least we cut the cannon breach because I think he already killed 2 of our team. Now I hit the engine and the loader. Just 1 more crew member to go, but no, T-44 122 finishes him off. But he also could have one-shot him. And now the battle is practically over. Just a few more seconds. Come on, come on. You know, I'm reversing here. I don't want to get killed by somebody that just spawns right in front of me and has to spawn protection to get robbed my survivor, which is what I really like. And yeah, my team here did indeed a great job, like how they distributed themselves, how they positioned themselves, and how I could support them with killing, you know, the flanks, and you know, a Vickers MBT in a head-on fight with the stabilizer, the high rate of fire, hash, and APDS with, you know, the enemies we had here, it's a difficult task. So nearly 50,000 civil lines and nearly 4,000 research points. Survivor award, first in team with 1933 score points. It's nice. Next match. So here we are on the Cologne map, or Advanced to the Rhine, whatever you wanna call it. And we just have this strange game mode, which is about capture zones. How amazing is that? I've never seen this in years, you know. Capture zones. Wow. City map. Wow. Fighting with the Germans. Oh boy. So yeah, I was not really excited, but I had a plan. There is the enemy capture zone on B, on the crossroads, and there is a very, very unique sniping position. But that's not all. So look at my speed, and you know, this is on hard terrain, on a straight line, and I still couldn't breach 50 kilometers an hour. So where is my speed advantage in this light tank that has the size of a Panther, you know, and has no stabilizer, and has no real armor against a normal tank gun? Yeah, so I am observing here this crossroad, and I want to wait for maybe Hellcats T-3485s. And I wait. I'm not that rushing forward. I could be faster here, but I would just penetrate too deep behind the enemy lines too early, where, you know, even if I have an ambush shot on one tank, it's very likely that another tank will follow him up and kill me without me having the chance to reposition myself or retreat at all. But it's too silent. I hear nothing, I see nothing, no movement, no gunshots from my team in any sort of this direction. But you know, this could change within seconds. And so I'm very careful. I'm looking around, any movement between the houses, in the windows. And now watch this reaction. So there is a T-3485. I want his gun breach, and I get it. The loader, the commander is out, so now I have to follow him. I couldn't one-shot him reliably, even if I would have hit the ammunition. Very often it doesn't blow up. I heard something behind me, and there is an ASU-85, but he didn't see me. So now I have to finish the T-3485 by killing the commander, which is also the gunner in this case. And what is this? What is it doing? Should I disable him or go for the killing shot, mark him, spot him, and I go for the crew shot? This time it worked, even including the gun breach, and there is another T-3485. This is very risky, highly aggressive. I want to take him from behind, but he gets taken out by a Panther F. Could it be? Might be. But the Panther F might have... No, it's another Panther F. I really don't see it. I think it's another Panther F. And now I'm in a position where nobody looks, but I can spot all the enemies. I can, you know, disable them. And there is the first candidate. Spot him. And I get the reward for him. Very unlikely that I would have gotten gun onto him very early on. There is a Hellcat. Just kill that thing. Just kill it. So, you know, the spotting is on a cooldown as well, much like a reload, and there is an IS-2. First, we spot him, then we can see if we can get gun on him, and he has not seen us. There is another Hellcat. Maybe I should have shot the Hellcat, but then, you know, the IS-2 would have killed me. So I try my luck, and the okay, no penetration. So I'll wait up until the point that the gunner gets back, and then aim for the gunner to finish him off for my 4th kill. Now my team is already moving up. We have ruffle stomped the enemy team. Not just me, but also my tanks. And I helped them a little bit. I was at the very right moment, at the very right position, doing the right movements and actions to help my team, to go over the flank, to encircle the enemy team. The team communicated, the team helped each other, and I'm here in a perfect ambush position. As a light tank with the mobility, the gun handling, gun depression, I want to use it, and there is this position. And this is rather rare that it aligns like this. So, now aircraft are flying overhead. My team is already capturing their zone. Our zone is somewhat protected, but there is some action going on at the other side of the map with a T-34-85, but nothing I can do about this. And I'm driving right through an artillery strike. And this is where you have a bit of an advantage. So, the Panther F got hit by an aircraft and got set on fire. We're fighting the Russians. Must be a Yak 9T. And look at the gun elevation of this 50 cal compared to some other 50 cals on some other tanks where they just have the maximum elevation of the gun. So my gun cannot hit this plane, but my 50 cal can. Repeated hits, and I get the Yak 9T. Mwah. That's practically my ace. So now, where to position myself? Well, the enemy wants to very likely secure their flank and go into position. So we harvest here a potato truck with the 50 cal, which is so good, you know, because you don't have a heat shell to hull break them, and you very often have to reload that before. I might help this Panther here to repair, but the repair time is short. I would expose myself, and I'm looking around. Is there enemy tanks coming? And I'm looking to the side, listening around. Is there somebody? Patience. What is that? What the fuck is that? So I spotted a T-34-85. And I tried to shoot him, but I mark him also on the minimap. I make here a lot of noise. Hey guys, there is somebody. And they're already shooting him. And so now I want to hunt him down. I really want to hunt him down. My team is now shooting frantically at him. They're turning their tanks. They didn't expect somebody coming from there. If I would not have looked into this direction because they were looking towards the enemy spawn, you know, this capture zone is not that easy to take. Numerous directions from which you can get attacked and shot and ambushed from. So for a single tank it's not that easy. And so the T-34-85 killed the Austrian, which has no chance against the T-34-85 from the front. Maybe with a random shot into the, you know, into the, well, machine gun port, if it is a tank that has a machine gun port, you know, this specific variant. I'm not quite sure about this, so I want to flank him. Where the hell is he? And look at this gun handling. I just could take out the command with the gunner and the loader, but he has two people in the front of the tank as well, and now we captured before I could finish him off. Maybe now I could have aimed for the gunner if I would have a split second more, but I get the survival award, and this is, well, practically all that I really need. And those were the, by way, best battles that I had. And they were in rather close proximity maps and not on Kursk, because Kursk is, well, I didn't get Kursk often enough. 40,000 silver lines, 3,000 research points, first in team with 1,451 score points, 5 kills, an aircraft and an assist. Good result right there. So the Walker Bulldog, it has its problems, but it really looks better than it performs. And yeah, here we have a new camouflage unlocked. I like the camouflages on the Walker Bulldog. I like its looks. I like its look. I like its stats, but it really doesn't live up to them. And with the size of a Panther, and while it has decent mobility, it's not outstanding with the opposition that just is better suited for that specific battle rating. The Walker Bulldog struggles. I'd love to like it. I'd love to love it, but I can't, because it took me like 20 battles to get that footage, and it wasn't that amazing for what I can achieve in a Hellcat or in a Super Hellcat or an M36 Slugger or an M56 Scorpion, or hell, sometimes even on Ontos. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.